we are back, and now it is episode 3 of the Poker Vlog. I'm Kyle Fischel. This is Dear Old Dad.
I'm Gary Fischel.
So, I chose him to interview because he's the one that's kind of been with me the whole journey. I call him before and after every single session, and he really gives me advice, encouragement, all the kind of things it takes to ride that roller coaster of poker.
No, one thing that you've always been very good about, and I've really enjoyed, is you call me up, usually on your way to work, and you review all the hands that you played in. Some you win, some you lose, but you're able to deconstruct exactly what went right, what went wrong, what your thinking was, and normally you're pretty accurate. You have been winning a lot lately, so the phone calls have been a lot more positive.
Yeah, there is a much more positive energy when you have more money leaving the poker table than when you entered. How do you feel about a child that is actually actively pursuing a professional poker career? Kind of stressful, don't you think?
It wouldn't be my first choice. I got to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously I've got some concerns about it, but you've always been a very good student at whatever endeavor you're at, athletics, academics. You were very good in math, very good chess player, and he's become a student of the game. He explains a lot what's going on, reads books, watches a lot of blogs, a lot of videos. So while you've been successful at a lot of things, I think you'll be successful at poker as well.
That's a good answer.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why do you want to make a career out of poker?
Well, for me, it's just always been the thing that excites me. Like, when you wake up in the morning and you know you're going to have a long poker session, it's just getting out there after the grind, getting to sit there with the chips in front of you, the table, the people. For me, it's always been exciting. It's always been fun. It's always been something I can, jump into, and I just always felt like it was where I belonged when I was at a table, and more when I'm winning than I'm losing.
Well, winning is always a good thing, but let me ask you this. What's the one thing you don't like about poker? There's got to be one. There's always the best. Obviously, the best is scraping the pots. Tell me what's your hardship. What don't you like about poker?
I think the one part of poker that's, the most unappealing is when you're absolutely card dead and you sit there for an hour, 2 hours, don't ever see a face card, don't ever see anything playable, and you keep sitting there and the hours go by and you just think this isn't sustainable. You can't sit here never picking up hands. Just one of the downsides for me personally.
Okay, and we've talked a few times because while you win a great deal, you do lose. And when you're tilting, how do you know when to stop tilting and walk away? I mean, you've gotten yourself in some rough situations, so when do you know that you're tilting, and how do you get yourself out of that funk?
I would say that is definitely the hardest part of poker that anyone who's played has experienced, because whenever you're losing, you think that the next hand's the one you can win. The next one's the one you're going to hit big, and you lose more, and you widen your range, and you play more hands, you get more aggressive, you change up what you're trying to do to make the wins happen. And that often leads to more losses. So, I mean, when you're tilting, there's really two ways you can combat it. You can try to push through it, or you can walk away. And identifying what's the best avenue is the toughest part. Me personally, I try to push through it. I have a few bad hands, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to keep trying. And sometimes I'll turn a losing session into a winning session. And sometimes I'll turn a losing session into a very bad session.
You've been in 3 tournaments so far. He won one, which was great. It was a $100 buy-in. It wasn't a huge thing, but with over 100 people participating, there's number 1. So that was pretty exciting for me to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nice to find some success in both the cash game arena as well as tournaments because each one has its own variables and, its own strategies and whatnot. So I think to be an overall good poker player, you have to be successful in both. And I've found relative success in both realms, and that's exciting. It gives you motivation to think that you can make a career out of it and you can keep going.
Okay.
Also,
One of the tournaments you didn't make it to dinner. That was
I'm not putting that in there.
that was kind of a tough one for you. Now, how did you bounce back from that?
Obviously, an early loss in a tournament, it's not easy to buy into another one when you lose in the first few levels. But you have to just tell yourself that it's variance. It's going to happen to everyone. Someone has to go out first. Sometimes it's just your turn. Sometimes you can get the money incorrectly, and that 80% goes the other way because it's only 80%. So just remember that it's going to happen.
So far, you've kept a good balance in your life between home life, your academics because you're still going to school and working and playing poker. And also, early on, I wasn't really excited, but you've made a believer out of me.
Okay, so where do you think I'll be in 5 years if I continue on this very dedicated poker path?
If you stay on the trajectory you're on right now, just like everybody else, you start at the 1-2 tables, you're at the 2-5 tables. You're not trying to overly push your career and move to the 5-10 and start moving up into the huge money. But right now, you're able to support yourself on your poker alone. And 5 years from now, yeah, I think that if you continue to do what you're doing, you could actually become a professional poker player. You could make some money doing this. But I'd still like to see you finish up that education.
Well, we got video proof. He says that the pro poker career is going to happen.
I wish success for all my kids, all right? And I've never been a dream stealer. And if this is his goal, if this is truly what you want to do, I'm going to support that. I'm just not going to support you, so don't lose any money.
That's always what you want to hear.
No, but it's a realistic possibility. You're doing well right now, and if you continue on your learning curve and you're smart with your money management. And when we discuss your poker hands, when you tell us what happened on the way home from a game, the hands you played in, the ones you won, the ones you didn't, and you really break it down, you can pretty much see the big picture. So I think the learning curve continues, and I think that I think you can be competitive.
Okay, well, thank you for the interview. Hopefully that everything goes well, and, well, there'll be more vlogs to come. Thank you. I want to do a little bit of hand analysis for every video, both because I think hand analysis is the best way to learn, and also I think I want a record for myself of all the hands that I've played, because when you look back at your ledger, you really don't remember why you made $1,000 in July 15th or why you lost $500, April 7th. So I think that's a good thing about a vlog, is that you can look back and really see why things happened the way they were. So I'm just going to do 3 hands that were pretty big for this weekend. So the big blind, I have King 10 offsuit. Under the gun calls, middle position makes it 30. 2 callers, it gets to me, I call, under the gun calls. Flop is decent. It's King Jack 6, all offsuit. I have King 10, so pretty good flop for me. But I check because my hand's not quite strong enough to lead out with, but I'm happy to call a bet. Under the gun bets 70. The middle position player just calls. I call as well because I think that you can't really continue with 2 callers, and I'm hoping I can get a cheap showdown top pair. Well, the turn is a 9. And the under the gun player now bets 175. Pretty big bet. Middle position calls, and now that I pick up a straight draw, I get a lot more equity. There's really no chance I can fold now, so I call. And the river is a queen. Pretty good. And now I just think that my hand is strong enough to bet. So I lead out all in about $500. So I'm pretty happy with that. The the under the gun player, he thinks for about a minute and then just calls. So I'm feeling fine because he bet twice. He bet on the King Jack 6 board and bet on when a 9 hit. So he has to have some hand that's good, but doesn't beat mine. Well, middle position player folds pocket kings face up, and under the gun shows ace 10 suited. Yep, so I got kind of coolered there, lost a whole stack. One hand I have pocket aces. I make it $30 from the button. I get 2 callers. 5-5-3. It's check to me. I make it $40. Someone raises to 90, and I'm fine to just shipping it all in here, so I make it $250. The guy's about $350 left. He shoves all in. I call. He has pocket sixes, so we get a clean run out. We scoop that. Pretty standard. Like it. And for the final hand of this weekend, that was pretty big. I have ace queen offsuit. I'm on the button again. Alright, there's a few limpers. It gets to me. I make it $30, and I get 3 callers. So, or 4 ways to a flop. Comes 8-6-2 with 2 clubs. One player bets $40, and I have the ace of clubs, so I'm fine with just peeling one with all my equity of just overcards, and a lot of scare cards can come, and I can get a cheap showdown. And I'm the only caller. The other 2 players fold, and the turn's pretty favorable. The turn is a queen of clubs. So I make top pair plus nut flush draw. Pretty good. The opponent bets 75. I just shove all in for 500 because top pair, nut flush draw seems good to me. Seems like the opponent could have like ace 8 or all kinds of hands that pocket jacks, all kinds of things that I'm just crushing. He calls pretty quickly, and the river is another queen. So river trips, I show, and he shows 8-6, so we were not in great shape, but we got some positive variance there. So this weekend was pretty good. I was able to recoup my losses from the one day and make it all back, and then some. So it's definitely a good weekend, and more will come next weekend.